I appeal to all mothers present. You know the heart I speak from.
In the flicker of torchlight, a teenage girl stood before warriors twice her age, their faces painted in ash, their eyes gleaming like polished steel. In her hands she held a musket, in her other a severed head. Her name was Seh-Dong-Hong-Beh, and when she was barely 16, she commanded 6,000 of the most feared women on earth. In a time when the world believed only men could rule, she led an army that made empires tremble. The Europeans called them the Amazons, but in their own tongue they were the Mino, or mothers, soldiers forged in blood, loyal only to their king and to death itself. To understand her story, you must first step into the kingdom that created her. Dahomey, 19th century West Africa. A land of drums, fire, and endless war. The kings of Dahomey were obsessed with one thing: expansion. Every year new villages were conquered, captives taken, and blood spilled. But as the wars dragged on, a crisis began. Too many men had died. The fields were empty. The armies were thinning. And so an impossible idea was born. One king, desperate to defend his throne, gathered a band of young women, hunters, daughters, outcasts, women who refused to be silent. He gave them weapons and a command that would change history: fight like no man ever could. At first, they were guards, protectors of the royal palace. But their courage was unmatched. They fought with no fear, no hesitation. When a bullet struck, they didn't flinch. When an enemy begged for mercy, they didn't blink. Over generations, this small band became something far greater, a living legend. By the 1800s, under King Gezo, they were an army in their own right. 6,000 women, each trained to kill, each sworn to celibacy, their lives bound to the king. They called themselves Mino, and their chant could chill the bravest man. As the blacksmith bends the iron, so we have bent our nature. We are no longer women. We are men. Among them rose one girl whose fury burned brighter than all the rest: Seh-Dong-Hong-Beh. No one knows where she was born or who her parents were. The records are dust, her childhood erased, but the whispers say she was born for war. As a little girl, she watched soldiers march through her village, their spears glinting in the sun, and vowed that one day she would lead them. By the age of 12, she had joined the Mino ranks. By 16, she had mastered every weapon they used, from the short musket that cracked like thunder to the long curved blade that could cleave a man in half. Her training was pure brutality. Days in the jungle with nothing but a knife, scaling thorn-covered walls, fighting blindfolded, until instinct replaced thought. The Mino didn't learn to survive. They learned to dominate. Those who broke during training were buried alive. Those who survived became family, and Seh-Dong-Hong-Beh didn't just survive. She thrived. She rose faster than anyone before her, a prodigy of pain and precision. She could strike a moving target with a musket at 200 paces. In combat, she moved like smoke, silent, sudden, unstoppable. The king noticed her. By 16, she was no longer a soldier. She was a general. Her troops worshipped her. She spoke little, but when she did, her words carried fire. "We do not fight for mercy," she told them. "We fight for memory, so that our enemies remember us in fear." In 1851, the kingdom faced its greatest test. To the north lay the powerful city of Abeokuta, ruled by the Egba, fierce warriors who had defied Dahomey's slave raids for years. King Gezo demanded their destruction. He promised gold, captives, glory, and he chose only one commander to lead the attack: the 16-year-old general whose name already carried the weight of legend. At dawn, the war drums began to beat. Seh-Dong-Hong-Beh mounted her horse, its flanks painted red with palm oil. Around her, 6,000 women raised their muskets to the sky. The ground shook beneath their feet as they began to chant, a sound like thunder rolling through the jungle. When the first musket cracked, the air filled with smoke and screams. The Amazons surged forward, unstoppable, their blades glinting through the haze. Witnesses said they ran through walls of thorns, stepping on the bodies of their fallen sisters to climb the city walls. In the chaos, Seh-Dong-Hong-Beh fought at the front. Her white uniform soaked crimson, her eyes burning with purpose. Every swing of her blade cut down another foe. Every command drove her warriors deeper into the storm. But bravery could not break stone. The walls of Abeokuta were too strong, their enemies too many. Hours passed. The air thickened with smoke and blood. Thousands of Amazons fell. Realizing the battle was lost, Seh-Dong-Hong-Beh made the hardest call of her life. She ordered the retreat. The Mino returned home in silence, their ranks shattered, their myth of invincibility broken. For her, it was more than a defeat. It was betrayal. King Gozo had sent them to die for a cause he no longer believed in. He was already negotiating with the British, promising to end the slave trade, while his own armies still killed and captured for profit. To Seh-Dong-Hong-Beh, this was unforgivable. And so, history whispers of something extraordinary, a rebellion. Some say the teenage general turned her army against her own king, that she stormed the palace gates, demanding justice for the women who had died, that she dared to shout into the king's face, "You have traded honor for silver." No one knows how it ended. Some say she was executed, her body burned to erase her name. Others claim she vanished into the forest, living out her days as a ghost of the kingdom she once served. But one thing is certain, the fire she lit never went out. Decades later, when the French invaded Dahomey with rifles and cannons, the Mino fought again. They charged against machine guns with machetes and bare hands, screaming the same war cry their young general had once taught them. They died by the hundreds, but they never turned back. Even the French soldiers, hardened by years of colonial war, wrote of their awe. They fought like demons, one officer said. They were fearless, even in death. By 1894, the kingdom of Dahomey fell. The Amazons were disbanded, their legacy buried beneath foreign flags. But they were never forgotten, and among all their names, one burns brightest, Seh-Dong-Beh, the girl general who terrified empires. She was more than a warrior. She was proof that power does not come from age, or gender, or birth. It comes from fire. And though history tried to erase her, her ghost still stands in the smoke of battle, whispering to every forgotten soul who dared to fight back. I was 16 when I faced the world, and the world was afraid.